and welcome back to another episode of the Kingswell Conversations, conversations with heart that are shaping the future of foster care and adoption. And I am joined once more with the fabulous Richard Kingswell, CEO of FosterVA and Extra Special Parents. Hello, Richard. How are you today?
Doing well. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you for inviting me again.
No, thank you so much for coming and allowing us to draw all the many, many years of experience out of that brain of yours as you share with us all your knowledge around some of the really key areas around foster and adoption. Now, we've covered so many different topics, and today we're going to branch on another one that is really, really important. And that is how Extra Special Parents supports families after they have had that placement. So we've talked a lot about the process of becoming a foster parent. Now we've got this child or children or sibling group, young child, teenager, could be any combination. A family has taken in a child or a group of children. How does Extra Special Parents support that family ongoing? Now it's actually happening and they're actually now officially foster parents.
Well, the journey starts with the referral to them. And that's really the communication that any child that comes into your house, you've accepted that child into your home. So there's no sort of, we just walk up with the child and say, please take. There is a communication beforehand. And I think that's when the true trust starts building with any parents, is that we have to communicate all the information we have. We don't keep secrets. We want you to have good information about what is and who this child is and their behaviors, their history. Some children come with absolutely nothing at all with information. They've just got the trauma that they've just been removed for, that's all we know about them, sort of thing, that someone's reported that there's a neglect and abuse, and that's the piece of the puzzle that's there. So the start of the journey is good communication. And then as the child comes into the home for the first time, you'll have a clinical specialist, a placement person who's has been coordinating with you, giving you the information. The community social worker will come as well with the child, and we'll meet and we'll get to spend some time together. There's paperwork, of course, and you're trained in it, so you know what's coming, sort of thing. But it's mainly just you're accepting this child and the responsibility of being a foster parent. And that's where the training comes in, that you know what's going to happen. And then that social worker will spend some time with you just as the child comes in, because sometimes the child's very upset. They may have just been removed, or this may have been their 10th placement. So there's always different levels of expertise in the child, sort of thing. It's like, oh, another foster parent, or where are my parents? So you've got both ends of this spectrum and everything in between. So that's the first support that a foster parent will get, is that contact until they feel ready to say, okay, you can go now. I got this. And
so that support worker, sorry to interrupt there, so that support worker, that first one, you'll have already built up a relationship with them in the process of your application and your process of being accepted. So they're already part of your journey then, and then they continue in the second part.
Yeah, so there's sort of like two teams. There's the team that trains you, and then there's a team that looks after you long term with the child. And there's a transition spot in between before you made a referral where the team comes together and we have a meeting with you. And that's a very important part, because that's where we clarify what sort of child you're looking for, that you feel you can support with your expertise, with your life journey. If you just want to have sibling groups, you just want to have teenagers, there's a family meeting. And this is when you'll be introduced to your caseworker that will look after you for the whole journey.
Okay. Fantastic. So then afterwards, then we've had your caseworker, we've got the social worker connected to the child. Who else is in the team that comes in now following you've now got this child or children in your home?
So we try and go down to one voice, because I think the level of overwhelmingness is enough with a child coming into your house, and you want to be stable as possible, sort of thing. So you have one caseworker that's working with you, and there'd be a supervisor to that worker that may come and join every now and then, sort of doing that fidelity monitoring, we call it, where you making sure everybody's on the same page, and my staff are doing a great job. And that is where we come in. So right at the beginning, depending on how the child is, and if it's been an emergency placement or a planned placement, the level of services that we will give is different. If we know the journey is an emergency situation, they go on the kids go on what we call an assessment level. And that assessment is we'll come and visit at least once a week and spend time with the child, spend time with you, making sure things are going on. We do have 24/7, 365 support by phone. And if you need that person to come out, our on-call staff will come out and do immediate crisis intervention. So you have that on call as well. So you have your one voice, and then you have your on-call team and a supervisor as your wraparound services that work with every family where we have children.
So if you've got this child and you have, so if you've got some issues or challenges that you're experiencing with the child, you're going to reach out to the caseworker. If you have administrative challenges, is that also the caseworker?
It is, yes. Yeah.
Even looking at the basics, you know, we talk about things to do with like finance and payments. Does that go through the caseworker as well?
Well, the finance is a little different because you do get an allowance to look after this child. And so there is a finance people that like to do the numbers and make sure the paperwork's correct, because the documentation for any accountant is different to a social worker. So when the accountant needs to have a updated weekly reports, which is just what the child's been up to, because that's what the social worker from the Department of Social Services needs so that they can get funded. And so there is some sort of paperwork that is the case manager will help you, but it goes to the accounts team, and they're the ones that cut the check. Social workers aren't good at math. That's why we became social workers.
I bet. And so if you're therefore, so as the foster parent, I've got my caseworker, but then am I also still connected I imagine, to the social worker with the child, who's not obviously extra special parents, but is still part of that team, isn't it? Because you're working together.
It is. But what we do is we protect the social worker by being the voice of the foster parent sort of thing. So you'll meet at meetings, you'll meet at court and things like that. But instead of a foster parent having multiple voices like schools and things like that, the clinical supervisor and the clinicians will help you with that journey sort of thing to get to the right person at the right time. But most of the time, we've done it before. We look after a lot of children, and so we usually have the answer. So when a social worker from Department of Social Services has got 30 children that they're looking after, if we can protect them as much as possible, that's how we have a good relationship with our counties, is that we can give the answers to our parents.
Yeah. And just out of interest, you know, so that people are aware, how many families would a typical caseworker at Extra Special Parents be looking after?
So between 8 and 10 is our norm. But the numbers can go down depending on the intensity and the distance that the case managers are traveling, sort of thing. So there's a bit of an algorithm to try and work out where the workers are, but keeping the workers and the clinicians stable is very important to us. So burnout is our nemesis. So we have to rest and keep the ratios. But if you've got a clinician that's been in the field for 10 years, they'll be at the higher numbers. They can even go all the way up to 12 by law. And so, but we try and keep them around 8 to 10 so that they've got that attention to detail that you can usually have. And when you think a classroom teacher has 30 to 1, 8 to 10 is not bad at all for a 40-hour week to look after these parents. And some parents will have 2 or 3 kids in one home. So that really helps the ratios. So some of those new placements where the ratios are higher or lower because they've got more visits and things like that. Because if you're visiting everybody once a week, that can wear you out very quickly. But if you're going once a month when the kids are more stable, that makes a difference as well.
And now, leading up into the process of becoming a foster parent, you provide training for prospective parents to go through. When they've now been approved and they are now active foster parents, is there additional training and things that they can participate in? Is there other stuff out there that supports them in addition to the day-to-day, you know, looking after this child or children?
Yes, like any skilled person, maintaining your skills is important and growing as a skilled foster parent. So yes, there is mandatory training that you have to complete over the whole year. And those hours are documented. There's group trainings, there's individual, there's specific to a child. So if you've got a child that may need a feeding tube or something like that, then the medical support and things like that will come in. So every child is unique and the support is unique, but there is mandatory training that you go on to throughout your journey as a foster parent, because we don't want you to get rusty. It's not one and done. We want you to be great for the whole time you're with us.
So there is bespoke specific training according to the needs of a child. If there is a skill gap somewhere in there, but it's needed, then you're able to facilitate the training needed to be able to have that child.
Yes, and we have a full-time professional trainer, and that trainer will go out to your house. Our clinicians are very skilled as well, but sometimes you need that very specific point person that can do the research, find out what we need, what's the cutting edge, and then come into your house and explain it to you, because every child is unique and every journey is unique. And so sometimes we do need that specialist to come in and help the clinicians. But we've got a great depth of clinicians, but sometimes that having that one-on-one person with the trainer that you trust who took you through orientation makes a big difference in that confidence level. And it's all about confidence. You're a great person who's put their hand up to become a foster parent. And that's the first job, is to become a foster parent. But when you've built a relationship, it's so important and so good when you've got that relationship rolling that you can touch base with the trainer and say, I need a little help in this area. And our clinical specialists will find that moment when you need to have that person brought in.
And then if I remember from one of our previous episodes, there's also the support around, there's transport support as well, isn't there? If a child has to travel on their own, you're able to provide transport services
yes,
as well.
And that is a specific service for a specific child. So one of the things, if the child's come into care and they've been in a local school, say the foster parent is 20, 30 minutes away, instead of moving school districts, we would rather them stay in that school. And so the community will support transportation to that school if it's appropriate with the safety of the child, because there may be a reason that it shouldn't go back to that school. A parent may want to take the child away who's had the child removed. So sometimes geographic areas is helpful for the security of the child's well-being. But sometimes that child relationship with their school friends and things like that is so important that the community will step up and assist. And sometimes the parents will just say, I got this, as any parent would, sort of thing. So it's just when they're working and they're doing other things like that, that they can't get them to the school and the school bus doesn't come that way. All those things come into play. And that's a conversation that's usually had at the beginning of the placement or before the placement.
Mm. So in summary then, for people watching this who are, have had that thought that I'd quite like to be a foster parent, or I'd like to learn more about it. I think what the summary of this is there is an abundance of support, whether there is the mandatory and standard support that all foster parents are getting. But if you have any particular needs, or if the child or children that you have any additional needs, there is always conversations around how you can support that foster family to get all the skills they need to make it a successful placement.
Yes, because that's our goal, is to be successful, to get the kid back to their biological family, or find the permanencies they're looking for through adoption or another placement. And so it takes us a long time. It takes us about 120 days to train a parent, and it takes us longer to find you. And so why would we want to break you?
Once you found somebody, you want to make sure
we want to look after you. We really want to look after you and make you feel that you are doing something awesome for our community, and you are helping an individual child, but you're also a human being that needs a little support and cuddle every now and then, because parenting's stressful.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, if you are watching this now and you're thinking, goodness me, that sounds absolutely incredible, which, let's be honest, that is, you've just listened to bespoke support in whatever way you need it. And if you're watching this and you're thinking, this is the time now, this is the sign I've been waiting for to actually make contact and actually start your own journey to becoming a foster parent, what I'd love you to do is reach out to the team at Extra Special Parents by visiting www.espva.org. Or if you just want some more information, I can massively recommend you going to the FosterVA website, where Richard has compiled the most incredible 45-page free guide, the comprehensive guide to fostering and adoption in Virginia. And you can download that straight away at www.fosterva.org. And if you want to catch up with Richard, because he is a font of knowledge, you can find him on LinkedIn at Richard Kingswell. Richard, thank you so much for joining us and letting all these potential foster parents out there know just how supportive your team is. Really, really appreciate your time again today.
Thank you, Nikki. It's always a pleasure.
All right, lovely. Thank you, everyone. Wherever you are in the world, we will catch up with you on the next episode. Take care now. Bye-bye.